Hi, this is Derek. Okay, I got a really special review today. Really excited about it, so I thought I'd, get right into it. This review is of the upcoming film Chucky Goes Hawaiian. As any Chucky fan who picked up the Blu-ray DVD combo of Curse of Chucky this previous October knows that the Universal, they did hold the sweepstakes, basically, to win your chance to appear in the new Chucky movie. I decided, whatever, I'll sign up for. I never win anything like this, so whatever. Uh, Imagine my surprise when I did get a response from Universal saying that I had won, and they revealed the title. The title is going to be Chucky Goes Hawaiian. So I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I was like excited, like, oh my, is Chucky gonna kill me on screen? That'd be like my dream. Not so much the case. Turns out it was kind of a ripoff because one, myself and like 150 to 200 other people won this chance to appear in the new Chucky movie. But I thought, okay, whatever. I'll get to go to Hawaii or whatever. Have a nice little vacation. That'll be cool. Also, not the case. The movie actually was filmed in New Jersey, in the Jersey Shore, very cheaply doubling for Hawaii, but that's movie magic, folks. But still, whatever. Thirdly, it was all expenses not paid, so I had to pay my own way to get there. I took a Greyhound there to New Jersey. I stayed in a hostel, which a New Jersey hostel, not great. And thirdly, pretty much it was like a glorified extra kind of thing. Like I'm in the background in like some party or some crap like that. So that was pretty disappointing. If you squint, maybe you can see me. So that was kind of a bummer. But the cool thing that did make the whole experience worthwhile is that when everything wrapped, they did sit us all down for a screening of the film. For like a pre-test screening kind of deal. Special effects not quite complete, but you could kind of get an idea of the movie. So that was a lot of fun. A lot of people, they didn't hold it for like the main actors and directors and stuff for the movie, mainly like sort of like a fan test audience kind of thing, where the 100 to 150 people who won also got a chance to see it. So that was cool. And they did, make me sign, or made all of us sign, basically this embargo thing where, not supposed to reveal the plot of the movie or details or blah, 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 any of that stuff. But, since I feel kind of ripped off about the whole thing, and, it's not as if I get like a million bajillion hits or anything. And since I have the greatest subscribers in the world, I love you all so much, I thought I would share a review, probably one of the first ones, but you're probably going to see a few more pop up within the next few weeks to few months or so. So I thought I'd give the movie a review. Definitely if you want to go in fresh with know all the surprises and things like that. I will go fairly into detail, but basically here's the short review if you just want to know kind of how it is and what to expect. It's pretty good. It is still written and directed by Don Mancini. A pretty good cast, too. They got Chris Sarandon to return. Chucky is voiced by Brad Dourif. Once again, the brilliant, wonderful Brad Dourif. Mariska Hargitay is in the movie. She plays a big role. She's really good. And some cameo appearances here and there. Graham Greene is also in the movie. And one which I'll get to in a second, only because it's kind of a surprise. I won't say it right now. But basically, with a title like Chucky Goes Hawaiian, you're definitely going to expect something a little cheesy, which it is, but not overly so, not like super camp to the max. Kind of, I would equate it more to, say, Bride of Chucky than Curse of Chucky. Like, Curse of Chucky definitely was a step in the right direction, kind of like a return to the roots kind of thing, which I liked. But then again, I do kind of like the humor of Bride of Chucky. So it's kind of a combination of the two. Chucky is not like the central focus of the movie, basically. So he still is in the periphery of the story, but at the same time, he has some cheesier lines and some cheesier moments, which kind of just border on camp. But all in all, it's not as cheesy as you might expect it to be. And I think they pull off a good movie, but it feels kind of more episodic. I would not say to you in a second, this is the definitive Chucky movie. It's not. I'd probably rank it somewhere in the middle. Definitely not as bad as Seed as Chucky. Not at all. In fact, I kind of like it a little bit better than Child's Play 3. It's kind of around there. So not one of the top best, but it's good, and I really liked it. And it is kind of a little hard to say because the special effects aren't quite complete. So, but my general impression of the movie is that it's very good, and I like it. So that's pretty much that. But anyway, that's my 5-second review of the movie. Yeah, so keep an eye out for it. Again, they're going for a Halloween release, so it's probably going to be released sometime late October of 2014. It will be released straight to Blu-ray and DVD, so it's, again, no theatrical kind of release to it. But yeah, that's my quick review of the movie, so I definitely liked it. To go further into detail, please, from this point forward, there are spoilers, so if you don't want the movie spoiled, watch no further. It does have an interesting plot concept to it, other than the fact that it's a Hawaiian vacation movie. But basically, the way it starts out, it's kind of like one of those TED Talks or Steve Jobs presentation things where it is the new head of the Good Guy Doll Company, and of course it's played by Gary Busey, who he's Ginger Dead Man, definitely a Chucky straight-to-video movie. Is not beneath him, but he's all glossed up in this suit. He looks very Gary Busey-ish, but he's giving this big presentation on the new wave of Good Guy dolls, and kind of talking about how they became kind of a nostalgic favorite, but this is the new wave, the new generation of Good Guy dolls, keeping up with technology, keeping up with the kids, and their social media trends and things like that. So, and what it is kind of cool, because what they've developed is like this synchronization technology with like iDevices, smartphones, things like that, where like the kids can like go on the Good Guy app and basically choose personalities for their good guy dolls, and like hook them up in the back, and upload certain personality traits to best fit with the kids. So he even says we've come a long way from 5 catchphrases or whatever he says, something like that. And they can also record their own phrases themselves and have the good guys repeat it. And he kind of does a demonstration. He talks and feels like, "Hey, it's good to be a good guy." And the doll on the podium next to him is like, "Hey, it's good to be a good guy." So it's pretty cool. It's a neat idea. And so he gives a little speech. It's like a 2 to 3 minute speech or so, but then you see the audience clapping, whatever, but then there is one shot, and that's kind of where you say, okay, something's up. It is of course Jennifer Tilly. She's dressed all in black, of course has the cleavage out as usual. She's wearing the dark sunglasses. She's kind of like clapping, something's up. But yeah, anyway, he gives the big presentation. He's like, yeah, we're going to launch these. This is going to be a brand new generation of good guys. You cannot keep a good guy down. We're really excited about this, blah, 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 all that stuff. So it shows him after, schmoozing with the people and shaking hands. And, of course, he runs into Jennifer Tilly, who is, of course, Tiffany. So you get the sense that in this movie she's still, helping Chucky out with things, even though they went through a nasty divorce, basically. So that was kind of cool. And she's like kind of talking to him, flirting with him, sort of, he's like looking at her boobs and, that kind of cheesy stuff. But you sense something's up. And that is pretty much her role. I thought maybe she'd be a bigger part of it. Like maybe she would show up later in like the main plot of the movie. But not so much. But anyway, good guy, head dude, he goes back to his office and stuff, and it's filled with the prototypes still ready for launch. They're going in a couple of either weeks or months or something like that. And it is kind of familiar. It's like kind of echoes the beginning of Child's Play 3, pretty much. I mean, it's a kind of a tribute to itself, which this series has become kind of self-referential, so that makes sense. But, he's, having a drink or whatever, and then he hears one of the dolls talking, and he says, "You're an ugly motherfucker." And he's like, "What?" Well, he picks up the doll, and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you." And, it's really creepy. He's like, "What's going on with this thing?" And then, of course, it's not one of the dolls, it's really Chucky. And he's back. It's Brad Dourif giving the perfect evil laugh as usual, which was great, and kind of similar to Child's Play 3 again. At the beginning when he takes the yo-yo and he chokes the good guy doll, business guy, head, president, whatever, and that's how he kills him. But this one, it's kind of like hinting that, oh, this is up to date. So he does take one of those, USB cords, and he chokes him with that. And that's, the first death of the movie, which was pretty good. I mean, Gary Busey, he's been in the business long enough to pull off a good death, basically. So I like that. And that's pretty much just, kind of the prologue of the movie. The main bulk of the movie, of course, as the title would indicate, does take place in Hawaii. So, you see a title card. I think it was 6 months later, basically. Main bulk of the movie, it begins in the airport. It's Chris Sarandon playing the same detective character from the first Child's Play movie. Mike Norris was the character's name, which is really, really cool. Pretty much, it was kind of something, from Curse of Chucky. How they had all the cameos at the end. They had Tiffany, they had Andy at the end. But where was Chris Sarandon? Where was the Mike Norris character? So that was kind of what I was hoping for. I wouldn't have dreamed in a million years that he would actually have like a full movie to himself. And I was kind of hoping maybe, Andy, Alex Vincent would have his own movie. But, you could kind of tell by the end of Curse of Chucky that his acting's not that great. So to headline an entire movie maybe wasn't the best thing to do, which, you can kind of understand why they wouldn't have done that. But, I mean, the Mike Norris character, that's absolutely the next best thing. And it's great to see Chris Sarandon back. You don't see him too much in movies, so the fact that he would do something like this, straight-to-video Chucky movie, they must have poured, half the budget into his, paycheck, I think. But it was kind of cool that he showed up. And basically his story, of course, he's old. I mean, you look at him, you're like, wow, okay, this is what, it's 25 years later. You can definitely tell he's aged. But basically the story is he's going on vacation to Hawaii with his girlfriend, played by Mariska Hargitay, which is, again, that's kind of cool. You don't see her in too much other than Law & Order, but of course, kind of typecast. She is a detective character too, and pretty much they get away with a surprising amount of exposition, which they do a good job of. So basically, you kind of pick up that, okay, they've been dating for a while. He's actually retired, but she's still on the force, basically. So kind of what's been driving and instigating this trip to Hawaii is the fact that for years, for decades now, he's been haunted and traumatized by the memory of his first encounter with Chucky. And so, he's always having nightmares and things like that. And, she's like, it's just trauma. It's all in your mind, we need to get away and we need to, relax, leave your problems at home, because, he's stayed in New Jersey for as long as, he has, since the first Chucky encounter. And, she's kind of pressuring him to, we need to get over this and, maybe take that next step. We've been dating for, I think it was like 5 or 10 years, she mentioned. Somewhere, like, they gave it out like a 7 or 8 years, something like that. So she's hinting at that, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll just enjoy ourselves and, get away from our problems. Take a long-needed vacation. I've never missed a day and, all my time on the force, so now I'm going to enjoy myself and finally put this to rest. So it's, kind of one of those plots, basically, where, he's trying to get over the trauma, basically, which it's been done before, but I thought, all things considered, they did a good job in, bringing that character back, bringing Chris Sarandon back. That's pretty awesome. But of course, they get on the plane, and since it is 6 months later, there had been the launch in the Good Guy dolls, so, he like sees on the plane that one of the kids is holding them, and he's like, goes into a cold sweat, basically, and he doesn't he tries not to let it get to him, blah 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 blah, stuff like that. But I thought that was kind of a cool aspect to it. Like, it is somewhat satirical, because they're these smartphone devices. Meanwhile, the kids are like 6 or 7 or 8 tops years old, and they have these devices. They're all spoiled and, technologically advanced when, they should be just playing with dolls. But, that's kind of the satire. Even dolls have, reached that higher up social media and, like, share with their friends on Facebook what their good guy doll stats are and all that crap. But I thought that was pretty cool. So it's satirical. But anyway, basically they do get to Hawaii, and of course it is a secluded island. I forget the name, something or other, but of course it's secluded, so you can kind of guess exactly what's going to happen. You can guess that, the power line is going to go out, the rain is going to come, and yes, all that stuff happens. So basically, but kind of in the first half of the movie, it is it is sort of like an interesting psychological study. Like, I mean, not like super serious, but, kind of how, it's been so long for this character. He does kind of begin to wonder, well, has it really been all in my imagination? Have I really just been, traumatized? And, he kind of, you know, does it legitimately, I think. And Chris Sarandon pulls off a good performance, kind of, as somebody who does legitimately, care for his girlfriend, the Mariska Hargitay character, and who wants to move on, basically, but he has this thing lingering. And so kind of what instigates, and you see, all that stuff. Chucky, again, he's in the periphery, but you kind of meet other side characters in the movie, like there is this one, they go to this, it's like a stunt show where, the guy, he's like going over the sharks in the tank on like the little fucking, ski-doo thing or whatever, and, he kind of meets up later, and it's him and his girlfriend, basically, this surfer dude. I remember their names specifically, Jason and Kristen, because I think it was like a little, wink to Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which took place in Hawaii, basically. So I think that's kind of their clever little joke. I don't really recognize the actors that much, but yeah, one part at the beach, he gets into a confrontation with Chris Sarandon. He's like, you better watch it, old man, blah, blah, blah. He like scuffs his surfboard or some crap like that. One of the very, very 80s type douchebag jock kind of characters, so that was cool. But of course, in a movie like that, he's gonna get it. I won't, I don't want to give away every single death in the movie, but this one was pretty good. You see him having a spat with the girlfriend, and they do break up. Again, Sarah Marshall kind of crap. He's like, you keep this stupid doll. She's like, no, you keep it for, I don't know why he gave his girlfriend a kid's doll for a present, but whatever. And, he, goes off to cool off. It's, at the kind of stadium thing where he does the stunts after hours, and, like, he hears her voice. She's like, Jace. He's like kind of following her. He's like, what? Who is that? And the whole thing is set up with like, all these surfboards up on there too, kind of showing off his collection or whatever. And then you hear the laugh, the patented Chucky laugh, and you see him with his little knife, and he like cuts the rope there, and then it knocks all the surfboards off, so they go like dominoes. Go. Then it knocks them into the pool, where of course the sharks are, and chomp, 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 chomp. And Chucky's like, surf's up, Jace. Again, very cheesy, but I like that. Again, just hearing Brad Dourif say anything kind of Chucky, clevery, I bought it, I liked it. It was okay, though it was kind of cheesy. And the blood was really good. It was like practical blood, so you can like see it's like splurting up and stuff like that when the shark's just chowing down on him. So that was cool. But then, of course, later on, with the main part of the story, with Chris Sarandon, as the Mike Norris character, he's, again, trying to just unwind with the girlfriend character. I'm sorry, I forget her name. I'm just going to call her Mariska Hargitay, the Mariska Hargitay character. They're watching the local news, and then they say, oh, a tragic accident has happened at the local blah, blah. I'm like, oh, my God, this is where we are. And then they show the news footage, and then they show that there is a good guy doll in the background, and he sees it, and he like fucking flips out, and so he's like, oh my God, it's happening all over again, blah blah blah, and whatever. So, kind of the plot, as it kind of unravels, it is about, I think they spend like a couple nights there, but on, I think it was either the second or third night, that's when the storm hits, power goes out, all that good stuff, and people die. There's one good, it's with one of the maids of the hotel. It was a really good death. I don't want to give it away, but it was pretty good. But basically, he's like, saying, I know this sounds crazy, but I've seen this all before. This is Chucky. This is the Charles Lee Ray, who I knew as a criminal in real life. He has voodoo magic. He's in a doll. Of course, everyone, thinks he's nuts. They bring over the sheriff, the local sheriff, who is played by Graham Greene, who isn't Hawaiian, but I guess they thought, okay, he's native, he kind of looks Hawaiian, whatever, kind of racist, but, it's cool to see him. I mean, you see him in everything. He's such a great actor, great character actor. It's so cool that, he'd finally show up in a cheesy Chucky movie, which I really like. But he's, like the local sheriff, and, he's kind of talking with the Chris Sarandon character, and he's like, they have one of the Chucky dolls there. He's like, oh, what, this little guy, kind of patronizing him. He's like, well, you can talk into these things and make them say anything. They'll say, I'm going to kill you, whatever. It just doesn't mean, it's just your imagination, blah, 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 whatever. So pretty much everyone thinks he's crazy, and that's kind of like the suspense of the movie, like, kind of what Hitchcock said about suspense. If a bomb goes off, it's action. But if there's a bomb under a table ready to go off, ticking, that's suspense. And so that's the suspense of the movie, where we know as the audience that he's right, so that it is Chucky doing all these killings. But no one believes him. Even his girlfriend, who thinks, Mariska Hargitay, she gives a good performance. That she obviously cares for this person. And, I think their relationship does feel legitimate, even though he is a little older. I think he's like 15, even like 20 years older than her. But, so it's kind of like not just like a psychological thing where he's, being, thought of to be crazy, but it's also kind of like, she still has police power, and he doesn't. So she like shows off the badge to the local cop. She's like, no, don't worry about it, blah 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 blah. So she's kind of being demasculated at the same time, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, anyway, basically, it goes kind of back and forth with that, with everyone thinking he's crazy, and then in one part they do get into a pretty serious argument. Where like he picks up one of his bags or whatever, and out of it falls this, it's like a leather-bound scrapbook, and she's like, what is this? And she looks on it, and what it is, it's like years and decades worth of like newspaper clippings, cutouts, printouts, everything like that, of Charles Lee Ray related things, related stories, good guy dolls related stories, stuff related to Andy and Tiffany, and the more recent events that took place in Curse of Chucky. So he has all that cut out, and she's like, I can't believe you brought this with you. What's wrong with you? You're obsessed. And yeah, it does kind of seem like he's pretty obsessed with Chucky still. So what kind of brings it a step further is now you have the conflict where she thinks, okay, has he finally gone over the edge, and is he the one killing these people? So it kind of creates some more tension there. And I thought they handled that pretty well. That was pretty good. But anyway, they get in a big fight, and she just goes to cool off at the bar or whatever. Then guess who shows up? Shoots his head out from under the bed. He says, "Aloha, motherfucker!" And it's Chucky, of course. And they have like a big standoff. Kind of, it's obviously it's not in a car, but it is kind of reminiscent of that part in the car in the original Chucky movie, the original 1988 film, where he's like, "Hey, Mikey," and he's trying to kill him, because basically, I mean, at this point, you get the sense that Chucky, like a lot of the plots are about, okay, let me get out of this body, not so much the case here. I mean, in here it's like pretty much he is comfortable, in so many words, with being the doll, and it's more of a revenge-based movie. So kind of his ultimate goal of this story is to kill the Mike Norris character. So that's pretty much all that's driving him. But then you got all the other stuff in the air with all the red herrings. There's other families and kids in the hotel, and some of them do have good guy dolls, and they're all technologically advanced, and so you're kind of like, okay, this raises the stakes a little bit, and it's not quite as cheesy as Chucky on a surfboard. I can tell you right now, there's no part in the movie, spoiler as it is, Chucky does not get on a surfboard and hang 10, if that's what you're expecting. So it's, not as cheesy as that. But anyway, it's big confrontation. He gets away. You see that Chucky gets away in like a motorboat or something. He's going to another kind of sub-island or whatever. So of course, Chris Sarandon, he has to follow him. He has to think, am I crazy or whatever? And so, lures him to like this jungle or whatever it is, kind of Hawaiian tropical location. Looks very unpopularized, basically. And of course, it's still raining, storming, very atmospheric, blah, 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 all that stuff. But then he comes across. It's like almost like an indigenous tribe of. They're like witch doctors, basically, all in the ceremonial garb or whatever, and who reveals himself to be kind of like the main guy, basically the leader amongst them, is the Graham Greene character, who is all in the ceremonial garb or whatever. And he basically says to him, I had to know it was true. We have followed Charles Lee Ray's evil for all these years, basically. And, you kind of find out that I guess his origins of his evil was kind of originate. I thought it was like, African voodoo or something like that, but apparently it's some kind of African, Hawaiian, Papua New Guinea, whatever, kind of fusion voodoo or whatever. And they're like, he is a heretic. He has made an obscenity of the magical powers, and we have been searching all this time to find him, and you can help us, blah, blah, blah. So, it becomes kind of like that. And they have the whole ceremony where they do take a standoff with Chucky. And, they get him in the bag or whatever, and then they strap him up to the thing, and he's like, no, no, and he takes, like, the ceremonial sword or dagger or whatever, feathers in it, stabs Chucky, does the little ritual or whatever, and expels the evil, finally expels Charles Lee Ray's soul from the doll's body. And so that's kind of what you think is the whole final solution to Chucky, because basically you can kill Chucky in any number of movies, and he's going to keep coming back because his soul is still alive, and we'll find another vessel, basically. So that's kind of what, always presented a problem, but always presented, opportunities for a sequel. So you kind of think, okay, so now that they've expelled his soul from the body, sent him to hell or purgatory or wherever he belongs, you're like, okay, I guess, it kind of brought everything full circle, so to speak. And, because it is, the main character, the Mike Norris character, who originally sought after Charles Lee Ray all this time. And, they kind of talk about it a little more before that part. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but like they show more flashbacks with Brad Dourif, physically Brad Dourif, practicing, the voodoo and all that stuff. So that was pretty cool, kind of similar to the flashbacks in Curse of Chucky. Again, it's in black and white, but they show different colors. I think things are highlighted in red instead of yellow. So I guess it's kind of the new theme that Don Mancini is doing in these flashbacks, like kind of Sin City-esque, basically. So all that was pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, they thank each other, pat each other on the back, and blah blah blah. That's it. So basically, Chris Sarandon, he goes on his own, and he gets on the boat, coming back. But of course, before I forgot to mention. Sorry, before this, Mariska Hargitay, she kind of stumbles into the whole thing, and she does still have her gun, so she has this good shot where she's like, what's going on here? Then he has to explain the whole thing, and that's where the flashbacks were. So they're both going back, basically, on the boat, and again, horrible weather, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And then what should happen? Of course, Chucky boards the ship. He has Graham Greene's head in his hands and the ceremonial dagger in the other, and he's like, "It's right, you can't keep a good guy down." Blah blah blah, all that stuff. So apparently, kind of what they flash back to, even though it takes place, 10 minutes back in the movie, is that he switched out with, one of the red herring Chuckies, got the Chucky to say something, whatever, so when he was in the bag, I guess he switched, or whatever, something like that, some bait and switch. You go with it, basically. So yeah, basically it becomes this whole big showdown, where, finally it's mano-y-mano, it's Mike Norris and Charles Lee Ray as a doll, and it's their final standoff. and all that good stuff. And basically, it's kind of similar to, in a weird way. I know what you did last summer. It's like this chase in the ship at the end, but he ties Chucky's hands to like a sailing barge or whatever, and it goes up, rips it off, and goes into the ocean. And you kind of get the sense again that he's not really dead, but you can't really prove it. So that's pretty much it, and that's pretty much basically how the movie ends. And the good thing is that she finally believes him, and that he's able to finally defeat Chucky. You feel like he's achieved some kind of catharsis, basically. So it's somewhat of a happy ending, but basically, of course, there's going to be more Chucky movies after this one. You absolutely know, because it does feel kind of episodic. So overall, I did like it. Again, it's hard to say for sure. Because there were incomplete special effects here and there. But, I thought the acting was good, all things considered. And it was just great to see Chris Sarandon back. I kind of doubt he'd do another one, but I'd be kind of interested to see, if he would come back, even with just like a cameo, and meet up with like the Fiona Dorff character, and kind of do like a partnership there, basically, as people who have encountered Chucky. Don Mancini, he knows the characters, he knows kind of the Chucky history, and with each one he's kind of bringing a little bit more to it, so we learn more about kind of his voodoo past, basically, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's a little cheesy, and there are jokes, there's some cheesy deaths too, which I didn't want to give away. One, because I don't want to give away every single detail, and two, some of the effects seemed to be incomplete, so there were some areas where you couldn't really tell exactly what was happening. But for the most part, with most of the deaths, there are practical effects that are used. Like, you'd obviously tell that they must have put Graham Greene's head in like one of those casts and made like a fake head, and I love that stuff. I love the old school special effects of movies, kind of harkening back to the 80s, basically, which is where Chucky originated. Pretty much, with the practical effects, it's pretty much kind of the same deal as Cursed Chucky. I even think they use the exact same doll, the exact same puppet, because it doesn't look as good as some of the other movies, but it looks okay. It's not as expressive as maybe it should be, but I think the important thing is that Brad Dourif's vocals, his vocal performance sells it, basically, which I think is important. So, it could be a sock puppet, and Chucky would still feel like he has a personality thanks to Brad Dourif. So, I think he does a good job. Again, would I say this is the definitive Chucky movie? No, absolutely not. But it was a nice entry, and again, for a title such as Chucky Goes Hawaiian, it was nowhere near as cheesy as I thought it would be. And in fact, I thought it was a nice little kind of character study of the Norris character, and it was great to see him back, answer all those unanswered questions after all these years. And yeah, kind of like a psychological sort of, suspense movie. So it does feel like a balance between sort of like, Bride of Chucky and Curse of Chucky. Though I can't 100% say, how much I like it because of sort of the incomplete effects, and they're probably going to edit down a little bit. The movie was like 100 minutes probably, if that. So it's pretty short, but I doubt they'll, expand on it anymore. In fact, I think they would probably cut out a little bit, so it'll probably end up being, like 90 minutes or so, or whatever. They'll probably have, same deal as with Curse of Chucky. They'll have like an unrated edition, blah, 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 even though it's coming straight to video, so what's the point? But yeah, I enjoyed it. Don Mancini, again, he knows the Chucky character. He knows what to bring for the fans, and honestly, don't let the title fool you. It's a lot less cheesy than you expect it to be, so that's what I would tell anybody. But definitely keep an eye out for it. This upcoming October 2014 is when it should be released soon. I think they'll have like a trailer up, but you'll probably see again other reviews such as mine get uploaded. But whatever, if I sign whatever thing, Universal, if you want to sue me, fucking sue me, shut down my channel. I just want to share this review with my wonderful, beautiful, lovely subscribers, and I love you all. You're all fantastic. Love you. I thank you very much for watching this very long review. Oh my god, half an hour. But yeah, basically, I would give it a thumbs up. I thought it was pretty good. And yeah, I'll totally buy it and hopefully enter another sweepstakes where I'll get completely fucking ripped off. So thanks, Universal. But anyway, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed watching and learning a little bit more about the movie and my thoughts on it. And comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, thanks for watching. More videos to come.